Hello, this is Ali Biko again. Welcome to another video that is meant for pre-intermediate and intermediate students. So in this video, we are going to talk about the simple present and also some of the time expressions that go hand in hand with the simple present. Okay, and we're going to see how to use the simple present and when to use it and how. Okay, so I'd like to start with this long paragraph. So I'm not going to give you the rules. Maybe we're going to come to the rules later. So observe, read the text, and observe all the verbs in this paragraph. My name is David, and this is what I normally do. I love to walk on the mountain. During the week, I wake up early and go for a walk on the mountain. I usually go with my father or my mother. We like to get some fresh air before we start our day. We live in the country far away from the city. We think that our country life is wonderful because we are away from the noise and the pollution of the city. We often walk for about 1.5 hours and then return to our home. I always take my bus to school at 8:30 and arrive at school at 9 o'clock. My father takes his car and goes to town to work. He works at a veterinary clinic. He's a vet and loves to help animals. We have 3 dogs and 2 cats. On the weekend, we wake up early and go for a hike on the mountain. It's so nice to smell the fresh air and see the wild animals. We stay there for about 3 hours and bring our lunch with us. As you can see, my family loves nature. Okay, I hope this text is clear and easy for you to understand. So as you can see, there are a lot of verbs. So what I want you to do is to underline the verbs, all the verbs in this paragraph. You can pause the video until you can do the task. Here we go. So as you can see, there are certain verbs are in blue, whereas other verbs are in red. So the ones in red do not change; they stay as they are. So the verb doesn't change. Whereas the verbs in blue, there are certain changes. So you're going to see what kind of change is that. Okay, as you can see in the text, there are some verbs that have s or es and other verbs don't. It means they don't have s or es. Sometimes there are other verbs that have ies at the end of the verb. Now look at this example. These examples are taken from the text. We live in the country. We have 3 dogs and 2 cats. I wake up early. So if you notice, these verbs, they do not change. There is no s at the end of the verb. So these verbs stay the same as they are. Look here, my name is David. This is verb to be. It's an irregular verb, okay? My father takes his car. And number 3, my family loves nature. Now look at these verbs, they change, alright? So there is an s at the end of the verb. So what is the rule? So we have the subject plus the verb, and then we add the verb, we add s or es or ies to the verb. Do we add s to all the pronouns? No. As you can see here, we do not add the s to the verb. We add s to the verb when we are talking about the third person singular, he, she, and it. Now look at this example here. Camelia drinks coffee. Camelia watches TV, and Camelia dries her hair. The present simple tense is the most basic tense in English and uses the base form of the verb. So we're going to start with the usage of the simple present. So we use the simple present for routines and habits. What do we mean by routines? Things that you do from once in a while. They can be, for example, on a regular time. For example, every week or every Sunday, on weekends, every summer. Okay, so look at this example. I play football every weekend. So this is an activity that I do every weekend. So every weekend I play football. It's a routine. Sarah goes shopping on Wednesday. So every Wednesday Sarah goes shopping. So that's a habit. We also use the present simple for facts. What do we mean by facts? A fact is something that cannot be changed in time and space. For example, the human body has 206 bones. So whenever you go, whatever you go, whoever you check, you find that the human being have 206 bones. So this is a fact, okay? Whether we are talking in the past or now or in the future, it's the same fact. When we are talking about schedule, we are talking about time, right? There's a schedule, time in when the train leaves or when the train comes. So we have here the train leaves at 6 o'clock. Even if it is tomorrow, even if you are talking about tomorrow, you use the simple present. The train leaves at 6 o'clock. So in the simple present tense, regular verbs stay the same, as I said before, except, so there's an exception in the third person singular form, he, she, and it. Now let's examine these sentences. We have here different pronouns and different verbs. So what I want you to do, look at the verbs, what happens to them. I play football at the weekend. You eat a lot of bread for dinner. He stays at home most of the time. She writes poems in her free time. It drinks milk every morning. We clean our hands on a daily basis. And you sleep early during the week. They study French on Tuesdays. So what is common about these all sentences is that they are talking about routines or habits. Okay, there are some expressions here like at the weekend. It's every weekend. For dinner, most of the time, in free time, every morning, on a daily basis, during the week, and on Tuesday. So these expressions mean that they are habits or routines. Now, what is important is that you have to look at the verbs. So here there is no change, but here there are changes here. So the verb takes s, verb takes s with he, she, and it. So in sentences, sometimes it's not always, it means that sometimes we have to we can have a pronoun or a subject. So we should understand what the subject mean. Is it a he or she or it? So let's go to the rules. Why certain verbs have s, whereas other verbs take es, whereas other verbs they take ies. So we're going to look. We have two very main basic rules. We have number one, verbs ending with these letters like sh, ch, s, x, and z. What happens to these verbs? We add es to the end of the verb for the third person singular. For example, we have the verb push. So that this push it ends with sh. Watch, ch. Pass, s or double s. Fix, x, and we have the verb buzz. So whenever we conjugate these verbs with he and she and it, we add es, as you can see. The second rule, for verbs ending in y, so there are many verbs that end in y following a consonant. So before y there should be a consonant, not a vowel, because we can have verbs that end in y like play, like stay. So if you notice, before the y there is a vowel, not a consonant. So we are not concerned with these verbs. We are talking about these ones. Carry. So look at the verb. It ends with y and there's a consonant. Consonant before y. Consonant. So what happens to these verbs when we conjugate them with he and she and it? We drop the y first, okay, we omit y, and we add ies. So it becomes carries, marries, he marries, she worries, it flies, and the baby cries. So remember, we use these verbs only with these changes only with the third person singular, he, she, and it. Now we move on to time expressions and markers that go hand in hand with the simple present. So we use every time, every day, every night, every week, every year, every month, every summer, occasionally, from time to time, every now and then, normally, frequently, on Mondays, at the weekend. For example here, every night I watch a movie or read a short story. Or we can say, I go to the beach every summer. So look at the expression. It can be either at the beginning of a sentence or at the end of a sentence. We also use adverbs of frequency. And these adverbs can be put, they are sometimes usually put before the verb. Like always, which means 100%, usually, normally, often, sometimes, occasionally, seldom, hardly ever, and never. So never means zero action, nothing. Okay, so look, you can study these examples and you can see the placement of these verbs. There's one exception when these adverbs of frequency are put after the verb is with the verb to be. So you can say, I am always late. I am normally on time. Now let's practice. Now we have exercise number 1. Write the correct form of the verb for the third singular person. I mean the third person singular person. So we have the verb study. It becomes studies. Listen, listens, such as brush, brushes. Do, does. Have, has. So have is an irregular verb. Now for the affirmative, the structure of the affirmative, we just we have the subject and the verb, then we complement. For example, the baby cries a lot at night. So here we have the verb cry, it ends with y and there's a consonant before, so we use ies. Exercise number 2. Complete with simple present form of the verb. So we have here Nada, wake up at 10 o'clock. Mark, like running in the park. We enjoy playing football. I like cats, but I prefer dogs. Okay, you have one, you can stop and think about it. You can do the exercise on your own and we check now. Nada wakes up early or wakes up at 10 o'clock. Mark likes running in the park. We enjoy, no change here, no change. We enjoy playing football. I like cats, but I prefer dogs. So if you look, the changes only happen with the number 1 and number 2. Why? Because they are third person singular. For the negative, we use subject and don't or doesn't, plus the verb in the infinitive and then the complement. For example here, Alex doesn't like Mondays. Alex doesn't like Mondays. I don't like Mondays. So Alex here, we're talking about Alex, not me. Alright, so let's choose don't or doesn't. Number 1, we doesn't like dogs. Mary doesn't eat tomatoes. John doesn't work on Sundays. Gab and John do the exercises. Samir go to the zoo. Alright, as always I say, you can stop the video, you do the exercises, and then we check. So number 1, which one is correct? Very good. We don't like dogs. Number 2, yes, very good. Mary doesn't eat tomatoes. And number 3, John doesn't work on Sundays. And number 4, Gab and John don't do the exercises. And we have number 5, Samir doesn't go to the zoo. For the interrogative, we start with do or does plus the subject and the verb in the infinitive. So we have do or does, subject, and verb in the base form, which means it doesn't change. And here we have the complement and we have a question mark because it's an interrogative, it's a question. For example, here, look at this picture. Do they work in the same company? Short answer. So they can say yes. If they work in the same, we can say yes, they do. Or if they don't work, we can say no, they don't. So we don't know. Exercise. Order the words to make an interrogative sentence. So look at the parts of the sentence and try to put them in the right order to make a correct interrogative sentence. Okay, you can pause, you can do the exercises, and we check right away. So number 1, do you like cats? Very good. Number 2, does Malak pizza eat? It becomes does Malak eat pizza? And number 3, we have Fluffy on a bed. Fluffy, it's the name of a dog. On bed does sleep, so it becomes does Fluffy sleep on a bed? Okay, we have a little exercise here. You are going to complete the gaps with the correct form of the verb. So you can take some time, you do it on your own pace, and use a pen and a paper, and you check the answers yourself. So we have it every day. Sarah wake up at 11 o'clock. She is very lazy. She watch TV for a couple of hours. Then she go to Hasna's house and they play together. When they are tired, they eat something. Sarah like spaghetti, but Hasna prefer pizza. Finally, at night, Sarah go to bed at 9 o'clock and sleep until the next morning. Okay, so we have number 1, wake up. So we have Sarah, remember the rule, wakes up. She watches. She goes. They, no change. They, no change. Sarah, S. Hasna, S. prefers. And Sarah goes, ES. And finally, we have sleep with S. Okay, more practice. So put the verbs between brackets and write the right verb. So write the right, if the verb is going to be changed, try to add a change. Is it S or ES or IAS, or does it stay the same? Write it. So we have number 1, Janet watches a film on TV. Watches. The girl finished her homework. Finishes. My father fixed the TV. Fixes. The children visit the museum every school year. Visit. No change here. We have the children. They. Helen wash her hair every 2 days. Washes. My friends try to cheer me up. Try. No change. My mother guides me. They offer a CD. They offer me a CD every Christmas. So no change. I understand. No change. My mother always divide the cake in 6. Divides S. Very good job. Well done. So this is a review for you to look at and to remember how the simple present is formulated in all forms. Okay, for the negative, affirmative. Alright, thank you very much, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos. See you in the next video. Bye.